Hello students, so we have completed part A and part B. In part B we have done vernier caliper and screw gauge. Now the part C is a very small part. It is based on pendulum. It is very easy, one of the easiest part also, and there are only few things to remember in this part. First of all, let's see what is a pendulum. See if there is a rigid support. Let's say this is a support, and on this support I tie a string, and on the other end of the string we tie a spherical object which we call as a bob, a spherical object. Now if I push the object on any of the side, it will swing this way, correct? So this is the movement, this is how a pendulum swings. Okay, so let's say the object reaches till here. So let's say this is the swing of the bob on either sides. See, this is the string, this is the bob, this is the rigid support, and this is the extent of the swing. It swings till here, and then on this side it swings till here. So it goes on like this. Okay, so I'll read the definition of a simple pendulum because the definition has some difficult words. So let's understand the meaning of those words. You can keep your textbooks open in front of you. The first paragraph of simple pendulum has definition. I'll read the definition for you. A simple pendulum is a heavy point mass. It's a heavy point mass. So this is a heavy point mass. Point mass means it is smaller in size and the weight of the object is at its center. A heavy point mass known as bob, suspended means tied from a rigid support by a massless and inextensible string. These are two important words. In the textbook they have used this word, by a massless and inextensible string. These two words. Massless means we are considering that this pendulum, only the bob has mass. This string does not have any mass. Okay, or it has negligible mass. The mass is very less, so we do not use this mass for calculation. We will only use the mass of the bob. Then it is inextensible. Inextensible means even if we tie this bob, the string is not elastic. The length of the string will not change depending upon the size of the bob. Okay, the length of the string will remain same. It will not extend or contract. Okay, so it is massless and inextensible string. Okay, so this is a pendulum. And this is a very simple pendulum. We are only going to study what is simple pendulum. Okay, there is something called as compound pendulum also, which are used in watch, clock, which are used in clocks. Those are different pendulums. This is a simple pendulum. Okay, now let's understand some terms related to pendulum. So the first term to note here is period of oscillation. Or it is also called as time period. Time period of pendulum. So what is a period of oscillation? See, the time taken by this bob to complete one oscillation. Now what is one oscillation? First of all, what is an oscillation? Oscillation means if I push this pendulum, it will go on the left hand side, then it will go on the right hand side, and then it will come back on the original position. This movement from left, right, and then center, this entire movement is called as one oscillation. Okay, so what is one oscillation? Left end, right end, and then center, back to the center, is called as one oscillation. And the time taken by the bob to complete this one oscillation till here till here is called as the time period. It can be 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second, anything. Unit is second and denoted by capital T. Okay. Second, the second most important term is frequency of oscillation. What is frequency of oscillation? It means number of oscillations in 1 second. Number of oscillations in 1 second. That means frequency is, let's say this bob oscillates 5 times in 1 second. Okay, it is very fast. It oscillates like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. It oscillates 5 times in 1 second. I'm giving you an example. So if it oscillates 5 times in 1 second, that means I will say that the frequency of the bob is 5 hertz. Okay, let's say if it oscillates 1 time in 1 second. Okay, always in 1 second. We are going to compare it with 1 second. So in 1 second, if it oscillates once, then it will have a frequency of 1 hertz. Okay, hertz, H-E-R-T-Z, is a unit of frequency. This is the name of a scientist. So how many times a bob completes its oscillation in 1 second is called as the frequency of oscillation. Okay, denoted by F. The relation between frequency of oscillation and time is reciprocal of each other. Time is 1 upon F. Okay, this means that time is 1 upon F. It means they are reciprocal. They are inversely proportional to each other. Inversely proportional means if time increases, frequency will decrease. Opposite relation. If frequency increases, time will decrease. Okay. In numericals, this formula will be helpful to us. Next, you have amplitude. Now, what is amplitude? Amplitude is the maximum displacement of the bob on either side. Okay, so see, the bob is here. The maximum displacement the bob makes on one side and the maximum displacement on the other side. This maximum displacement on left or on right, it is always same for both sides. So if it goes maximum till, let's say, till here, so this distance, or I can say displacement, is the amplitude of the bob. Okay, or for example, this bob may go up till this height. Okay, so this is the maximum displacement of the bob from its mean position. This is the mean position of the bob. Okay, and the maximum displacement it makes is called as the amplitude. Okay, so from year to year or from year to year, maximum displacement. This was just an example to show that this is a small displacement, a big displacement. Displacement can be anything depending upon the size of the pendulum. So amplitude is displacement on either sides. The fourth is length of the pendulum. Now what is length of the pendulum? Length of the pendulum is from the center of the bob to the point at which the bob is connected to the rigid support. So this length from the center of the bob till here is the length of the pendulum, effective length of the pendulum. Okay. Now they are finding the relation between the time period of a pendulum and the length of the string. They are finding the relation between the time period of the pendulum and the effective length of the pendulum. So to find this relation, we have to perform an experiment. Ideally, your school should perform this experiment in front of you in physics laboratories, but I don't think so that will happen. But the observation table of this experiment is given in your textbook. If you see, the table is given after the next diagram. The table is there with the name time period for pendulum of different lengths. Okay, in that table, see, this is the table. You might have this table in your textbook. In this table, 2 columns are important. You don't need to learn this table, or you don't need to learn the experiment also. The experiment is also not in the exam, but here, just for your sake of understanding, I will give you the values of, we will copy the values from that table to understand what they are finally trying to say. What are they concluding with that experiment? So they have performed the experiment, and what they have done, they changed the length of the pendulum, and depending upon those length, they calculated the time period of oscillation. Means what? What I'm saying is that, let's say they had they used different pendulums. The first pendulum, let's say, had the length 25 centimeter. Okay. The second pendulum, let's say, had a length 36 centimeter. The next pendulum had a length 49 centimeter. Let's say this is 25 centimeter, this is 36 centimeter, this is 45 centimeter. Okay, they calculated the time period of this pendulum. Time period means from left to right and then center. Okay, then they calculated the time period for this pendulum. Then they calculated the time period for this pendulum. They wanted to check that what is the relation between the length of the pendulum and the time period of oscillation. So what were the readings? I'll write the readings for you here. The length, first they took the length as 25, then 36, then 49, 64, and so on. And the time period which they got are 1 second, 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, and so on. So basically, you don't need to remember the values, you just need to understand the observation here. So what is the observation? They saw that when the length is increased, the time period also increases. You can see the length is increased 20, 30, 40, 60, and the time period is also increasing 1.2, 1.4, 1.6. Okay, and what is the relation? They both are increasing, means I can say that length is directly proportional to the time period. This was the first thing which they concluded. The time is directly proportional to the length is directly proportional to the time period. Directly proportional means what? If one is increased, the other will also increase. Okay, and the relation between them was such that length is directly proportional to the square of time period. Okay, the length is directly proportional to the square of time period. What does this mean? Length is proportional to the square of time period means that if the length is increased by 2, if the time period is increased by 2, length will increase by 4. If the time period is increased by 3, length will increase by 9. This means that if you increase time period by any number, the length will increase by its square, because length is directly proportional to the square of time period. Okay, so just remember this formula. These values or this observation is not important. You have to remember this formula, that length is directly proportional to the square of time period. Okay, and the final conclusion from this experiment was that if you increase the length, the time period will also increase. Now based on this table which they have drawn, we have to draw a graph. So we will draw a graph here. On the x-axis we'll take length, and on the y-axis we'll have time square. Okay, and we know that when we increase the length, the time also increases, time period. When we increase the length of the pendulum, the time period of the pendulum also increases. So you will get the graph as like this. This is called as a linear graph, which means at any point on the graph, if let's say this is the length, then this is the time period. If you come here, see the length is increased, okay, So time period is here. Time period is also increased. If the length increases, the time period also increases. This is called as a linear graph. Okay, so you must know how to draw this graph with only this much. You draw length, draw time square, make a straight line, write your x-axis, y-axis, that's it. This is all what you need to know. Okay, and there is something called as to calculate the slope of the graph. Okay, so how to calculate the slope of the graph? In the motion in one dimension chapter, part B, which is yet to be done, in that part B you will have numericals based on calculating the slope of the graph. Here I'll give you a small hint on how to calculate the slope of the graph, but we won't go in much detail because there are no numericals in this part based on the slope. Still I'll draw one graph here, and let's say I take some values 5, 10, 15, 20, and here I'll take some values 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'm taking some random values to make you understand what is slope. Okay, so let's say I want to calculate the slope of this line. So what I will do, I will take 2 points on this line, any 2 points. You take any 2 points, okay, and then you see the values of these 2 points on the y-axis. This is the y-axis and this is x-axis. So first you take any 2 points and see the values of these 2 points on the y-axis. You go on the left hand side like this and see the values. You are getting the value as 2 and 8. Okay, so this is time period and this is length. So let's say I will name this as T1 and this as T2. So what is the value here? 2, and the other value is 8. So to find the slope, what we have to do is we have to subtract the higher value with the lower value. 8 minus 2 upon, then for the same these 2 points, now draw a line on the x-axis and see their values. So here you can see this value is 20 and this value is 5. So this is the higher value 20 minus the lower value 5. So your answer is 6 upon 15, that is 2 upon 5. This is your slope. How did you calculate the slope? T2 minus T1 upon, let's say this is L2 and this is L1, so L2 minus L1. This is the formula for slope. Okay, see there won't be any numericals based on slope in this part, but to make you understand what is this formula, how to find the slope, I'll repeat. Just take any 2 points, see their values on y-axis, see their values on x-axis, subtract the values on y-axis in numerator, subtract the values of x-axis in the denominator, and see the answer you get. This is called as the slope. So remember only this much, and I'll give you the markings for the part. Read only that much. Now the most important topic in this part is the fifth point, which says factors affecting the time period of simple pendulum. This topic, search for this topic, factors affecting time period of simple pendulum. Very important topic. This is the fifth point in pendulums, and there are 4 factors. Okay, so we'll discuss those 4 factors. You only need to remember the pink lines, the pink heading, and their formula, relation. That's it. I will give you the markings. Let's read one by one what are they. So the first one is the time period of oscillation is directly proportional to the square root of its effective length. The time period of oscillation is directly proportional to the square root of effective length. They have just twisted the formula. The formula was in the previous page. We saw here that what was the relation? T square is directly proportional to L, or I'll write it here again. We saw that T square is directly proportional to length, correct? And here they are saying T is directly proportional to square root of L. They both mean the same. Okay, if you just transfer the square here, it will become root, correct? So these both are same, that time period is directly proportional to square root of length. This is the first factor that affects the time period of simple pendulum. What affects the time period of simple pendulum? Length. The length of the pendulum will affect the time period of the simple pendulum. So how are they related? Time period is directly proportional to the square root of length. Okay. The time period of oscillation is inversely proportional to the square root of acceleration due to gravity. See, I want you to keep your textbooks in front of you, so that whatever second point I am reading, you must have it in front of you. Second point says that the time period of oscillation is inversely proportional to the square root of acceleration due to gravity. Second point says time period of oscillation is inversely proportional. Inversely means this 1 upon the square root of acceleration due to gravity. What does G means? G means acceleration due to gravity. Basically it means the force by which an object is pulled down by the earth. Okay, so the force by which an object is pulled down. Okay, so what they are saying, time period is inversely proportional to gravity. Inversely means if the gravity is more, time period will be less. Okay, now you don't need to go deeper into it to understand how does it happen, but still I'll give you a short explanation. It is not there in your textbook, but see, understand. If this is a rigid support and let's say this is a string and a bob is tied to it. Okay, if the value of G is high, means the gravitational pull of earth is more on this pendulum, correct? So if I push the pendulum will try to go on the left end, then on the right end, correct? The pendulum moves like this. But when the pendulum will go here, let's say the pendulum is going here, because the gravity is more, it will pull the pendulum downwards. Okay, जैसे ये जो बॉब है, स्विंग की वजह से ये लेफ्ट और राइट जाएगा, ठीक है? अब ये राइट जा रहा है, लेकिन अगर ग्रेविटी ज़्यादा होगी तो अर्थ इसे पुल करते जाएगा पेंडुलम को नीचे, ठीक है? जिससे वो ज़्यादा दूर तक नहीं जा पाएगा, ज़्यादा ऊपर तक नहीं जा पाएगा, करेक्ट? अगर ग्रेविटी ज़्यादा है तो वो चीज़ों को ज़्यादा नीचे पुल करेगा, करेक्ट? अगर ग्रेविटी कम है तो ईजिली कोई भी चीज़ ऊपर जा सकती है, करेक्ट? फॉर एग्जाम्पल सी, लेट्स टेक अर्थ एंड moon. Let's say if you jump on earth, you may go 2 feet above the ground. Okay, but with the same intensity, if you jump on moon, you will go about 5 feet above the ground. Why? Because the gravitational pull of moon is less than that of the gravitational pull of earth. Earth pulls you more, so you cannot go against earth. Okay, it is pulling you down. And on the same way, moon pulls you less, so when you jump you can go higher. So in the same way, if the gravity is more, it will pull the pendulum down. So it won't be possible for pendulum to go up. Okay, so it will travel a small distance and it will come back. On the left side also it will travel a small distance and then come back. Okay, so this length will be less. तो अगर ये कम डिस्टेंस ट्रैवल कर रहा है तो ये जल्दी अपना ऑसिलेशन कंप्लीट कर देगा. ओके, दूर नहीं जा रहा है, जस्ट गोज हियर कम बैक्स, जस्ट गोज हियर एंड कम बैक. सो ज़्यादा ऊपर जा ही नहीं पाएगा, तो उसका जो टाइम पीरियड है वो छोटा रहेगा. ओके, तो अगर ग्रेविटी ज़्यादा है तो टाइम पीरियड विल बी लेस, बिकॉज पेंडुलम ज़्यादा ऊपर नहीं जा सकता. अगर ग्रेविटी कम है, ओके, सो पेंडुलम विल गो अप ईजीली, इट विल गो अप हियर ऑल्सो एंड इट विल कम डाउन. तो ये ज़्यादा लंबा डिस्टेंस ट्रैवल करेगा, करेक्ट? तो उसका टाइम पीरियड भी बढ़ जाएगा. ओके, सो जब ग्रेविटी कम है तो टाइम पीरियड इज़ मोर. व्हेन ग्रेविटी इज़ मोर, टाइम पीरियड इज़ लेस. ओके, you only have to remember the relation that time period is inversely proportional to square of gravity. They won't ask you the explanation for this, but for your general understanding I gave you this example. Okay. So these were the first 2 points. First point said that time period is directly proportional to length. Directly proportional. Length increases, time period will increase. Second said that time period is inversely proportional to gravity. Gravity increase, time period will decrease. Now the third and the fourth point are about not affecting the pendulum. Third and the fourth point. The third point says the time period of oscillation does not depend upon the mass of the body suspended. So what they are saying, the mass of the bob, okay, they have tried that using experiments that, let's say for one pendulum and for second pendulum, okay, there are two pendulums. In one pendulum they use a smaller bob, on another pendulum they use a bigger bob, and they tried to see the change on the time period of oscillation, but they found no difference. That means what they are saying is that the time period does not depend upon the mass of bob. Okay, we don't have to understand the experiment also here because it is not there in your textbook, but you have to just remember that time period does not depend upon the mass of the bob. Okay, it does not depend. And the fourth one is the time period does not depend on amplitude. Time period does not depend on amplitude, means the swing, amplitude means what? Kitna distance it will go on the left side and on the right side. Okay, on that distance they are saying that amplitude, they are saying that the time period will not depend. So two factors, time period will not depend on two factors, mass of the bob and the amplitude of the bob. Okay, now there is a bigger explanation, there is a very big explanation for why it does not depend upon the amplitude, but it is not there. Okay, we don't have it, not in syllabus, so we just have to study the head points here. The time period does not depend on amplitude, time period does not depend upon the mass of the bob. Okay. So we have studied four factors: length, gravity, mass and amplitude. Okay, that's it about the pendulum topic. Achha, there is one last topic, that is seconds pendulum. What is seconds pendulum? Seconds pendulum is a name given to a pendulum whose time period is 2 seconds. That's it. If a pendulum has a time period 2 seconds, time period 2 seconds means it takes 2 seconds for the pendulum to complete one oscillation. Okay, see, for example, this is a pendulum, it takes 2 seconds to go here, and then come back. Okay, it starts from the central position, okay, it goes on the left, goes on the right and come back to the mean position. If it takes 2 seconds to do this, then it is called as a seconds pendulum. Okay, why this special name is given? Because this is the most commonly used pendulum which has a time period 2 seconds for experimental purpose. Okay, that's it. That's all we have to know about pendulum topic. With this we complete the first chapter and I'll send you the markings. Next test will be on this chapter. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you.